Kees van der Klauw, German Alliance for Internet of Things Innovation, AIOTI. What is it that this alliance does on a daily basis? Tell us.
Yeah, so a few years ago, many stakeholders in Europe realized that the conventional way of innovation does not apply to Internet of Things. So first of all, it's high speed, but it's also cross-sectoral or cross-silo, you could say. You see, until recently, too many activities were in either purely technology or purely in application. And today, with AIOTI, we try to bring together the stakeholders of society, universities, small and medium enterprises, large enterprises. So basically all the stakeholders to make sure that we have an integral approach.
Well, after all, in the most effective cyber attacks tend to be silent, undetected for months and years after. Is that a challenge still, especially in the context of the fact that, you know, you yourself described, you use the term cross-silo. Is it fair to say that at a conference like this, where industry, institutions, companies, policymakers meet to discuss, to find dialogue, to find collective solutions, the silo effect is still there?
No, I think it's improving, so that's why I'm also enjoying to be at this conference. I think it's a challenge for society, so policymakers, end users, because the behavior of end users is extremely important in cybersecurity, technology people, application people, and they have to work together, and it is part of experimentation. So we used to experiment in technology, so let's see if a 4G or 5G network works well, but we also should experiment with cybersecurity rules, so which laws are acceptable, what privacy are people prepared to give up in trading of a nice application. And that requires experiment.
It's necessary that people actually give up privacy for cybersecurity to continue improving. It's like line to line, so to say.
No, ideally they don't, but it's a fact of life already. I think the whole world is giving up privacy without knowing. You could, if going back to the 17th century, where people were trading with beads and mirrors, you could say. I think nice applications on computers and mobile displays are actually luring in people with very nice applications. And sometimes it's not a problem. People are prepared to give up some privacy, and you see, particularly in China, the growth, the enormous growth of internet applications is related to the fact that they get more back than they perceive to give up.
Any thoughts about fake news and the growing notoriety of this phenomenon?
Yeah, I think there has always been fake news, but it took longer before it reached the people. So I think real time is one of the critical.
It's called politics today itself.
But let's say to print it and to distribute it, that takes a lot longer than the internet. And I think that's a major concern, that things that are real time pose a special risk. I think we have to think architecturally. Should everything be real time, or would a delay of some system functionality of 1 minute, would that also be acceptable? Because then you can build a lot more cyber secure systems.
As a person with technical background, I see your mind is very much into controlling and controls.
Reducing risk.
Balances, reducing risk, call it.
But it's by design. So, but we have to find out also in practice. I don't think you can, let's say, design everything from behind your desk. We have to accept that there will be some flaws, and then we have to make sure that we can learn and improve.
So let's have a tricky conclusion, tricky question in conclusion, I should say, at a conference like this, where different types of stakeholders meet to talk about their respective fields and how they relate one to the other. One thing that you would like this conference to end with, the kind of deliverable that you believe personally, as someone with a technical background, would be most important, what would it be?
I think dialogue, and particularly with end users. So representatives of society, consumer organizations, patients in a smart hospital, citizens in a smart city. I think their engagement in piloting, I think, is extremely important.
Are we talking about massive, large-scale awareness-raising campaigns at end-user level?
No, real scale. So not 10 people, your family, for people of the family of people working in a lab. No, real citizens that are, you could say, agnostic. And real scale, I mean that don't work, for instance, in the smart city with 5 houses, but use 10,000 houses in a certain area. But involve them, educate them, tell them about the risks.
But it can be quite frustrating, right? Because after all, hackers are known to be stealthy. They tend to evolve much more than the institutions that try to counteract their activities.
Yep.
So it can be frustrating for those end users, can it not?
Yeah, it is. But I think the awareness is first. And I think people thought for a long time that those things wouldn't happen. Actually, most engineers designed cyber-physical systems in the 70s and 80s, never thinking about hacks.